Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Monday, January 27th, 2020.
Commissioner Villegas, Garcia, James, Davis, and Caloza are present. President James, you do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Julie Allen, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, John Ollinger, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Michael Ruiz, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Eddie Chavez, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Pamela Ostrander, Streets, LA.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive one speaker card under General Public Comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council Comments section, and we did receive speaker cards on all the items for today's agenda.
Okay, let's go ahead and take general public comment. Mr. Sachs. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Arnold Sachs. It's a tragic incident yesterday with the crash of the private helicopter and the loss of 9 lives, including Kobe Bryant and his young daughter. USA Today had an article on Saturday, in Saturday's edition, about Kobe Bryant, and it said, "Life after basketball," and Sunday morning, he's passed. Condolences to all involved. I once met Dr. J when I worked at the Hilton LAX. The only celebrity I ever got an autograph from, the only celebrity I ever approached. He could play some basketball. I don't know if anybody ever saw him play basketball, but he could play too. I was actually going to the Getty Museum yesterday on the 405. Incredible artwork, incredible sculpture, incredible tram system, you know? It's actually pretty weird how many people take that tram system up to the Getty, and yet Metro is trying to solve a situation to get to LAX, and they don't want to consider a tram system like that that would probably cost half the price of what they're doing. It's incredible how nutty they are over at Metro. But, you know, they have their meetings, they have their agenda, and just going to have to fight that. No, I also met Spike. Well, I didn't actually meet Spike Lee, but our paths crossed at a playoff game when the Mets, I don't know if anybody's from New York, the Mets won. They played Cincinnati in 72 playoffs. And it was famous for Pete Rose getting into a brawl with Bud Harrelson. But they won the game, the last game, and I get on the train, and there's this guy carrying a section of the outfield fence, a 371-foot marker for the outfield fence from Shea Stadium. He's putting it on the train. And I'm pretty sure that in Spike Lee's history, he was that guy.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. That'll close general public comment. Agenda item number 1 has been requested by the Bureau to be withdrawn. So we will withdraw agenda item number 1 for some revisions. I suspect we will see it again. Agenda item number 6, an administrative item. The City Council has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Engineering to execute the proposed amendment number 2 to the contract with Kevin Daly Architects, former Daly Janik Architects, for continued architectural design and construction administration services for the Robertson Recreation Center project. On number 6, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. I noticed on this today's agenda there's a couple of contracts with companies that have changed their names, and that leaves a little bit of, makes you a little leery of why they're changing their names, and why they are still on the list if they've changed their names. Are they qualified as the same company? And the Robertson Recreation Center project, where is the Robertson Recreation Center project located? Where's the funding coming from the Robertson Recreation Center coming from? It's just, you know, when things like that happen, it just raises red flags in my mind, and I just have to question. I don't know. These administrative items that just passed through, rubber stamped. I just have to question them. Thank you.
Okay, so this is an administrative item. Is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item number 6 forthwith by Commissioners Caloza and Davis and Villegas? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 2. Council Districts 4 and 13, this is a consultant name change. Hargraves Jones Landscape Architecture, formerly Hargraves Associates, pre-qualified on-call landscape architectural and engineering design services list, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to instruct the controller's office to update their payment records to reflect the consultant name change from Hargraves Associates Incorporated to Hargraves Jones Landscape Architecture. We'll hear from Mr. Kawaguchi as to any background we might know on that, but Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 2.
Yeah, unlike the last item you had on number 6, this actually mentions council districts 4 and 13. So, again, here's a situation where the council districts are having the work done in their council district, the people that live there, and yet they don't have the opportunity, even the companies that are within those council districts, they don't have the opportunity to bid on the work that's going to be done in their council districts. It kind of leaves them out. There's not even any neighborhood council report on this. There's no financial incentive. There's nothing. There's nothing from the neighborhood. This is just handled by almost like a third party. And so you're actually left out of the process that's going to affect your neighborhood. You don't know what the plans are. You don't know what the consultant is going to be doing. It's somebody who lives 20 miles away is consulting on what's going to happen on your neighborhood corner. And they're not there. They don't know the neighborhood. It's the gentrification of the gentrification. That's the real problem. Step up to the plate.
Mr. Kawaguchi, on number 2, you'll explain this name change, and we are just need to make sure that our records comport with what our contractors need for purposes of payment. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Alan Calgucci with the Bureau of Engineering. This item is actually a consultant name change. The reason why the council districts are listed is they have a task order already assigned to them right now. They are working on the master plan for the Silver Lake area. The name change is a contractual change, and therefore it must be approved by the city when they change their names. They've already submitted to us that there's no items that will change. Their certifications, everything else will remain the same. So this is for tax purposes, but again, they have to match, otherwise the city's controller won't be able to pay them.
Understood. Any questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Villegas. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, Alan. Agenda item number 3, task order solicitation number 61, IBI Architects and Lair Architects Design Services for the Homeless Facility Program, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task order solicitation number 61 to IBI Architects and Lair Architects from the pre-qualified on-call architectural and related professional services consultants list to provide design services for the emergency bridge housing for the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Maintenance Yard and Aetna site. This is again for a bridge housing project, as stated in TOS number 61, with budgets not to exceed $230,000 and $227,624, respectively. On number 3, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you again. A couple things about this one. So it's mentioning that it's it's bridge housing for the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Maintenance Yard and Aetna site. But should be is it at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Maintenance Yard and Aetna site? There are 2 different sites, that's one problem. And maybe it's 2 different bridge housing projects. But you're going to spend $450,000, over $450,000 to design bridge housing. We just had Dr. Tom Williams come in here and mention we could use containers for bridge housing. And the containers can't cost that much, There's already people that have designed houses for containers. It's not a case where the concerns for the city council and the concerns for the city administration should be to get people off the streets and into some kind of housing. It doesn't have to be like with a bathroom. I mean, if they have one bathroom for 35 units, it's better than using the street. You're already trying to make that illegal, and it's also illegal to sweep the streets and flush all that stuff down the storm drains because it goes out to the ocean. So a good idea is to use portable bathrooms. They use them on the Hollywood sets when they're around downtown. It's just getting people off the street and getting them some attention. This is not brain surgery at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Although that would be nice, it's just not necessary. You know, you have houses, you have tents lined up along Spring Street, you have tents lined up along Temple Street. All you need is a facility where people can camp if they want to use tents. Thank you.
Let me try that again. Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Kawaguchi, welcome back, sir. It's your big day, Alan.
Good morning. Alan Kawaguchi, I'm the Bureau's rep for the homeless facilities. What you have before you is task order solicitation number 61. In advance of the council passing a motion back in October and November, the Bureau of Engineering went out with a task order solicitation to bring on 2 other firms to help us do the designs. In that time frame, we did get emergency authorization to begin the design, but we were placed on hold by the mayor's office while we entertained another option for design and construction. What these firms are doing is they are providing the designs, and the amount of money is not only for the design, but it's also to help us bid the projects out, to answer questions from contractors, and once we go into construction, to answer and address any questions that are out in the field during that time frame. They do provide the design services to bring in all the utility lines, meet all ADA and all the other code compliances. IBI is going to be the architect to design at the what we call the BPW maintenance yard. It's actually part of it. We're taking over part of their yard in order to build it. This is a fabricated tent structure, and with hygiene trailers and admin trailers like we do at all the other facilities. Lair is going to be doing the design for the Aetna. It's sitting on an MTA site. Again, this is a little bit different based on the council district's input. They wanted trailers. It's a stitched together trailer, about 15 trailers. We still have the hygiene trailers. We still have the admin trailers together with them. Those projects, just to let you know, to try to speed it along, those items were are designed. I think we're starting to already break ground on the DWP site, and then on the Aetna site, the bids I think are being opened this coming Wednesday. Any questions?
Good inclusion numbers on this. Alan, what's the timeline on this one, on this project?
Okay, the one, like I said, on the DWP yard, what we call DWP yard, which is up located off of Van Nuys Boulevard at 7700 Van Nuys Boulevard. It's right near a Metrolink station.
I know where it is.
That station, right now, the plans have gone over to General Services. They're going to be doing the construction. We're starting to notify MTA and Metrolink that we're going to start fencing off the area and begin utility installation on that site. So that's going to occur probably within the next 2 weeks. The Aetna site one, the designs are done. Bids will be opening this coming Wednesday.
Okay. So if I had to tell the community what the open date might be, what would I say?
Our goal right now is to have them all completed by June 30th. But then I understand the providers will take roughly about 2 to 3 weeks for them to occupy, get everything set up, and then they start, I think, receiving the people. They, I believe, are already inventorying in terms of, or kind of surveying, because they take people that are immediately adjacent to the shelters first, and then they start spreading out. But that list is developed well ahead of before this facility's opened.
Great. Again, a lot of good work being done on this. We appreciate that. I'll make, no other questions, I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3, seconded by Commissioners Davis and Coloza. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending 3 forthwith? We'll send 3 forthwith. Let's go back to agenda item number 2 for a moment. Our executive officer informed me that we neglected to send number 2 forthwith. If we would like to do that, and I think we should. So without objection, we'll send number 2 forthwith as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Agenda item number 4, Council District 14, Task Order Solicitation number 27J, SOMAS Specialty Support Services for the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project. recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task for solicitation to SOMAS from the pre-qualified on-call bridge and civil engineering and other design and support services consultants list to provide specialty support services for the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project as stated in the task order solicitation with a budget authority of $1,720,263, which does include a contingency. Mr. Sachs on number 4. Passes on number 4. Ms. Allen on number 4.
Good morning, Julie Allen, Bureau of Engineering. Before I begin, I will let you know that I am scheduled to come back on Wednesday in 2 days to give an oral report on the overall status of the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project, so you'll get a lot of detail about where the project is at that point, just so you're aware. For the report today, the Bureau of Engineering is requesting the board authorize us to issue a task order solicitation 27J to SOMAS, and this is on the bridge civil pre-qualified on-call consultants list, as Commissioner James mentioned, for a total budget authority of $1,720,263, which includes contingency. The project is being constructed by SSW under the construction manager general contractor delivery method, and we expected at the time using this delivery method that we would have very few change orders.
SSW is your contractor,
Sorry,
correct?
that's correct.
Skanska?
Skanska, Stacy and Whitbeck is the joint venture contractor building the project. At the time we began this delivery method, we expected things to go relatively smoothly because the contractor was on board with us for several years during the design phase. Unfortunately, we have experienced numerous change orders and delays on the project, which has left us with the need to bring on specialty services to support us as we complete the remainder of the project. Specifically, the task order that we're requesting authority to issue today covers 3 specific task areas. The first one is a full-time field engineer, which basically is out in the field watching what the contractor's doing. They're watching their resources. They're seeing if there's any rework. They're helping us identify opportunities to recover delays, see where resources could be applied more efficiently, and then they help us review the schedule updates and any claims that come in. The second task, excuse me, is for a claims management support, and this team will help us review claims and change orders that come in, including any time impact analysis that are submitted, and they may also support in any formal issue resolution processes that we get into for the remainder of the project. The third task is a more...
Julie, can I ask you a question on the claims management support?
Absolutely.
So, recognizing that they come from SOMAS, and I know that there's the transmittal has very specific bullet points on what the work is being done. I've looked at that. Would you share with us for the record kind of a summary of what's going to be done on the claims management side?
Sure. So the claims management team would generally review any correspondence that we would like them to review our response and make sure that it puts the city in the best position for any future claims. They also review claims that we receive from the contractor and help the city determine entitlement. They help the city understand our position on the issues and provide recommendations for how to respond to the claims and assessing our risk and giving us the best advice for moving forward to the best interests of the city at the lowest cost for the project.
One moment.
SOMAS is generally proposing to do this work through a sub-consultant, which is shown in their...
So here's where I'm going. I'm trying to avoid any talk of the word litigation, but it exists in the summary. The litigation and arbitration support that's listed here, do you know if SOMAS is providing lawyers in that context?
So for task 2, no. For task 3, we have the role of a bridge specialist. So it's a very complex bridge. It's not something that most people have experience in.
Sure.
So there's a bridge expert. And we also have a legal expert that's not providing it's not a city attorney role, but more legal advice and guidance in advising the city on case law, things related to,
And that's private outside counsel?
yes.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead. I interrupted you, so please continue.
Right, no
Thank you.
problem. So in summary, those are the three task areas that this task order solicitation under SOMAS will cover. The scope of services has been provided previously to the city under two separate contracts. SOMAS was providing one area and Tetra Tech was providing one area. So that total was $755,000. And both of those contracts expired in November of last year. So that's why we're here before the board requesting the services to be provided under the new on-call contracts that were executed at the end of last year. We have issued a limited notice to proceed to SOMAS so that we avoided having a lapse in services when the old contracts expired. And that has been issued under the city engineer's authority up to $118,000 so far off this new contract. To select this firm, the city solicited all 30 firms on the pre-qualified on-call bridge and civil consultant list, and we received 2 proposals for these services from SOMAS and from Gannett Fleming. And we reviewed the proposals and interviewed both firms and selected SOMAS based on their expertise and the level of services that they could provide for the city. The original proposal was $2.5 million, and we were able to negotiate the services to an amount of $1.66 million, and with contingency it brings the total to $1.72 million. And this task order is funded by city funds that we have already approved in the project budget and expect to cover the services through March of 2022. The contracts executed as part of this federal pre-qualified on-call list do comply with the federal Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, and that list all has an 8% DBE anticipated participation level, and SOMAS has pledged to meet the 8% participation goal with the subconsultants that they're providing for this task order. So that was all I had for the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions on agenda item number 4? Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President James. Is the total amount include all tasks, task 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay. It's just going to be paid out in phases or as we need it?
Correct. What we've done is we negotiated the full-time field engineer on a lump sum basis. We knew the duration that they would be working. It was a full-time staff augmentation. So that was part of the fixed fee. And then the as-needed services for claims mitigation and for the specialty services, those will be authorized and paid for as we need them. So it's all part of the same total of $1.7 million.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Anything further? No questions, nothing further. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Thank you. Any issue sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Agenda item, thank you, Ms. Allen. You're here for number 5 as well, I think. You and Mr. Kawaguchi are competing for today's gold star. Agenda item number 5, Council District 14, Task Order Solicitation number 27K, T.Y. Lin International Construction Management and Quality Assurance Support Services, 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project, recommending that the board first authorize the city engineer to issue the task for solicitation to T.Y. Lin International from the pre-qualified on-call bridge, civil engineering, and other design support services consultants list to provide construction management and quality assurance support services for the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project as stated in TOS number 27K with a budget authority of $3,250,000, which includes contingency. Mr. Sachs on number 5.
Yes, thank you. So it seems, looking at this agenda, that SOMAS and Tetra Tech had contracts that expired last year, and SOMAS is being picked up again from item number 4, and Tetra Tech is being replaced by T.Y. Lin International. So we have specialty support services, construction management, quality insurance support between these two contracts, but you have two different companies providing them. So how do they get together and work? And what exactly does the city engineer do as far as these projects are concerned. You also heard mention about private outside counsel, which is not included in either one of these contracts. These contracts are go till March 2022. When is this project supposed to be completed? That would be really helpful. And so it's going to actually cost almost $5 million for the services. The contract, the project started when? In 2018, 2016? And maybe even earlier than that for the design phases. We've heard about the mismanagement as far as scheduling the workers to do work where somebody had to be pulled off because something else happened and something else happened, and nobody ever contacted the rail lines to find out if they could actually do the work over the railroad, the rail lines that run underneath the bridge. So this is just exactly a comedy of errors, and I'm sure this will be moved forthwith. It seems you're not taking any other action but moving these right to the mayor's office without any action other than that. So it's pretty good comedy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. On number 5, Ms. Allen.
Thank you. Julie Allen, Bureau of Engineering. Bureau of Engineering is requesting authority to issue task order solicitation 27K to T.Y. Lin International from the on-call pre-qualified bridge and civil consultants list to provide continuing construction management and quality assurance support services for the 6th Street Viaduct Replacement Project in Council District 14. T.Y. Lin will provide staff augmentation for the city's on-site construction management team, as well as concrete specialist services and quality assurance source inspection and testing services. The different services that they're providing include a resident engineer with expertise in major complex bridge construction, structures representative, a scheduler, environmental and biological monitoring, cost estimating, specialty concrete analysis experts, as well as quality assurance services including source inspection for materials outside of 30 miles of the city's radius, batch plant inspections at the concrete facilities, and other material testing services. These services have been performed to support the project under contracts, again, that expired in late 2019, performed by both T.Y. Lin International as well as Mars, who was performing the quality assurance services for the project. Limited notice to proceed was issued under the city engineer's authority in November of last year to avoid a lapse in services when the old contracts expired, and the amount of $149,950 to move forward with this task order solicitation. Again, the Bureau of Engineering solicited all 30 firms on the on-call list, and we received 2 proposals to support this TOS. And the firms were Harrison Associates and T.Y. Lin. Again, the city reviewed both of the proposals and interviewed both firms and determined that T.Y. Lin was selected based on the review of their qualifications and experience outlined in the proposal. The proposed amount for the services was $5.3 million through March of 2022. The city and T.Y. Lin negotiated an amount of $4.47 million with a contingency of $295,000 for a total of $4.77 million. But at this time, the Bureau of Engineering is recommending only moving forward with $3.25 million, which will take the services through February of 2021, which is when the current contractual completion date is. The services provided by T.Y. Lin will be staff augmentation, so what the city would propose to do, or the Bureau of Engineering would come back to the board once the end date is known with more clarity, and request additional authorization from the board to extend the services beyond that February 2021 date. This task order is funded by city funds that are already in the approved project budget and will cover expected services through, as I mentioned, the February 2021 completion date. The contracts executed as part of this pre-qualified on-call list, which is, again, federally funded, are part of the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program with an 8% anticipated participation level, and T.Y. Lin has proposed pledging 17.7% DBE participation for this particular task order. That was all I had for the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any reason that did we discover why out of the 30 firms we only got 2 respondents? Was it related to the scope of work? Did we happen to inquire with any others, at least even randomly?
I did not hear any feedback as to why other firms did not propose. It was a relatively, I don't want to say expedited, but it was a somewhat rushed process because the contracts were expiring and we wanted to be able to have new services begin without lapsing support for the project. So it's possible that they didn't want to put together a proposal in a quicker period of time. But we feel that the 2 proposals that we received were both very thorough and thoughtful and provided the necessary services to support the job. So we felt comfortable that we received a competitive set of proposals to choose from.
Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, President James. Just for clarification, is TY Lin, are they a current subcontractor?
Yes, TY Lin is one of the 2 firms currently providing the services that are included in this TOS. TY Lin is covering or providing the resident engineer and the structures representative, basically all the on-site staff augmentation support, and Mars has been providing the quality assurance, third-party testing, batch plant monitoring, excuse me, but we've now combined those services into a single task order solicitation.
Okay, and it seems like we're just continuing that contract, even though you went out to your as-needed list?
It was a competitive process, so we are continuing it. It happens that the firm that we're recommending approval of is the same firm that was providing the services before.
All right, and was before you created the as-needed list, were these services going to be done by the main contractor, or was it always intended to have a subcontractor do these?
It was always, when the original list, it was part of the pre-qualified on-call list previously, and TY Lin was the prime that was hired off that pre-qualified on-call list in the same fashion that they are here. They're the prime.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Caloza.
Thank you, President James. I don't have any questions for you, Julie, but more just wanted to add some additional comments as it relates to TY Lin and just, I think, the value that they add to the 6th Street project. I know our resident engineer is actually here in the audience today, Karen Cormier, who's has provided and constantly demonstrates her expertise on a very complicated project. I do think that we would be remiss not to continue with the same resident engineer, given how much she's been involved in the last, 3-4 years on this project. And she really does know this project like the back of her hand. She really helps guide and facilitate a lot of these really in-depth construction conversations that we have. I'm sure you have them, obviously, a lot more than I joined the ones for the steering committee, but I always appreciate, again, the amount of care that you put into also making sure that you position the city to complete this project. And so I just wanted to say thank you to Karen and just all the women specifically involved in the 6th Street project, since I know a lot of you are here. The other Karen, Julie, Natalie, and many others.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Cloza. That sounded like a motion. So I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Thank you, ma'am. Any issue sending 5 forthwith? We will send number 5 forthwith. That takes us to our voting item, which, the next agenda item number 7 is an oral report. Our next voting item is agenda item number 8, which is part of a supplemental agenda. Contract award, Council District 1, 4DC Incorporated, Beacon Street Bridge Home and Eubank Avenue Bridge Home Project. Declare 4DC the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder. I'm looking to see if Mr. Kawaguchi surpasses Ms. Allen today with presentations, and you do. I suspected that you would, with it being Bridge Home. The lowest responsible bidder and award for a contract for the project for $7,667,300. Secondly, authorize myself or two members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Third, recommend to the board to instruct Ford to submit their bonds and insurance as soon as possible, but no later than 14 calendar days. And finally, change the contract duration from 120 working days to 134 calendar days, which Mr. Kawaguchi can explain. Agenda item number 8, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. And I know I take a lot of shots, and I have no doubts that the city employs some great workers on its staff. It's just this back and forth stuff that you go playing hopscotch by the leadership, I guess. I mean, we're just following orders. This question, I have a question regarding this because it's $7 million for bridge housing. When does the bridge housing is supposed to be for 3 years, right? So does the actual time for the bridge housing start when the contract is awarded for the bridge housing? Does the contract start when the bridge housing, the facility is built? Does the contract start when the first shovel is shoveled? It doesn't really say, and it would be interesting to find out because it's 3.5 years or three years, and this one is for 3 months, 4 months. It varies, I guess, depending on which project you're talking about. But if you're including the time that the solicitation goes out and the bidding goes out and the referendum, all that stuff goes out, it could be, you could use up 1.5 years for the project and just get 1.5 years out of bridge housing, which changes the cost of the item from $7 million in this case for the 2 houses to what? I mean, if you use that 1.5 years on the process of getting the project built, well, then you've used up almost half of the contract on getting the project started, and you haven't really done anything for 1.5 years to get anybody off the street, and that's just plain wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Kawaguchi on number 8.
Good morning, Commissioners and Bureau Heads. Again, Alan Kawaguchi with the Bureau of Engineering representing the homeless program. What we're asking for is the award, the contract to 4DC to be the lowest responsive bidder at $7,667,300. These are for 2 sites. One is located on Beacon Street, which is on a Caltrans site at this time. The lease on that one will actually start when we finish construction. It'll go for 3 years. The other site is located on Eubanks, which is owned by the Port of LA. That also will extend for 3 years from the day that we complete construction. The construction is geared for about approximately 120 days. And just to let you know, the speed that we're going at, this was a mistake. That's what occurred on item number 4. It was supposed to be 120 calendar days, which is our 4-month time frame. It was inadvertently wrote as 120 working days, which is 6 months. And it's very important to us, the amount of time. I do have someone here from 4DC that we've discussed ahead of time, and they said they will accept the time change. So if you want to ask any questions to them, they are here.
I'll just want a verbal on the record by their representative when the time's appropriate, but go ahead.
Okay. The unusual thing that we had in trying to speed this process up is that back when the council approved the 2 projects, back in July of 2019, the plan at that time was that the Bureau of Engineering would do the design and we'd hand it off to General Services. So at the time the motion went into council, they approved it and moved the money into General Services. Because of the fact that we're rushing a lot of things coming into it now, the Mayor's Advisory Committee had asked us that we start bidding out the projects. That request came to us in November. So in November, we converted our drawings over from going to GSD to out to bid. We did release this project out in December of 2019. Open bids up in January 8th of 2020, and we're trying to speed it up to award the project. The funds, like I said, were just approved the transfer on January 22nd. It was in council, and they did approve the transfer of the funds. We're hoping that the transfer of the funds will be completed by probably by, I think, February 7th. And I know it's a little bit unusual to not have the funds already in place, but this is a change that was made. And again, we're moving very, very quickly, and again, we're trying to get ahead of the ball when we tried to move the money into general services. Money was moved again back in July of 2019, and then as we got the bids in, we're moving the money back into Bureau of Engineering so we can award the construction project.
Now, the council file, and if you look at status of financing, on January 22nd, 2020, so just a few days ago, I believe that was Wednesday, council approved the motions authorizing the transfer of funding. The transfer should be completed by February 7th, 2020. That's still intact?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
I also believe, I think the mayor is going to be signing he's going to sign it today or he will sign it this week.
Well, I know it's a priority for him, so
Right.
it will be signed quickly. I mean, it's his number one priority. Mr. Jordan, any issues given the fund transfer being finalized by February 7th that I need to know about before we approve this?
No, we concur with the staff's recommendation.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, Alan, on this one, sounds good. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, but before we do, sorry, number 8, could I have the representative from 4DC here? Welcome back, sir. Good to see you.
Good morning, President James, members of the board. Arash Tagigian with 4DC here. We acknowledged a duration change, and it's not a problem. We'll be able to meet the duration. We understand it was an error, and we worked very closely with Mr. Kawaguchi, and we're looking for a successful completion of this project for the board.
Okay. Any other issues discussed today that you wanted to bring to our attention at all?
No, nothing at this point. We're trying to hit our goals for MBEWB, as you see by our subcontractor listing, like we always do, and looking to turn over the project on time and on budget.
Appreciate it, sir. Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that's no additional cost associated with that.
That's true.
Contract duration change. Is that correct?
Correct. The dollar amount of the bid stays as submitted.
Great. Thank you. Then I think we're ready for my motion on agenda item number 8. Is there a second on that? By Commissioner Villegas and Commissioner Cloza and Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Thank you all. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We will send number 8 forthwith. Dr. Campos, we don't have any journals for approval today, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so that'll take us to our oral report since we've completed all the voting items. Our sewers 5 and 6 update from engineering. Mr. Sachs, you put in a card. You waive number 7? You can. Mr. Tolles.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ryan Tolles. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. I'm here today to provide the quarterly summary for both Sewers 5 and Sewers 6. I'll go ahead and start with Sewers 5. And I'll just highlight what I think is relevant here. Sewers 5, not a lot is changing. We're closing out that contract. So that contract started May 2nd of 2013 and expired on May 1st of 2018. We issued 938 construction orders on that contract with a total dollar amount of $21,410,274. There were change orders executed for those projects in a total amount of $4,015,981, which totaled of $25,426,255. So in the contract ceiling for that project, or for that contract, was $26 million. We expect there to be one more quarterly report on this contract, and that should be the last one because we would have then closed out all the items on that contract. So the next contract I have is Sewer 6. This is the one that's currently active. It started November 3rd of 2017 and expires November 2nd of 2022. We've expended 788 days so far, which is roughly 43.2%. We've issued 692 construction orders on this contract and have completed 567 of those. The construction order amount issued is $20,118,204, and we've executed change orders in the amount of $332,139, which totals our expenditures to $20,450,343. The contract ceiling on this contract is $30 million. And so to date, we've expended approximately 68% of that budget, with the remaining ceiling of $9,549,657. So as you could see from those numbers, the expenditures are exceeding the time. We're about 43% in time expended and 68% in funds expended. And the main reasons for the expenditures being increased is there's been some capital projects that were transferred over to the sewers contract to be delivered, and the money associated with those capital projects didn't come along with those projects, so that's one reason. There was also a few basins, sewer basins, that sanitation encountered recently, which has led in an overall increase in requests that we've been seeing from sanitation. And as such, we think we're projecting that the budget for this contract will run out prior to the actual contract expiration date of November 2022. So we're currently in the process of requesting an additional budget to be added to the Sewer 6 contract. And we've also started the Sewer 7 contract procedures, started getting a new contract in place, which we hope to have the Sewer 7 contract in place by June of 2021. So there will be a little bit of overlap between the two contracts, and there won't be a gap in service to sanitation. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have on either one of these reports.
Thank you, Mr. Tolles. We'll start with Commissioner Davis, then I think Commissioner Villegas' light was on first. We'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Tolles, I wanted to ask about our sewers work just in general. In terms of the work that we do with sewers, is this work primarily emergency work?
So sanitation grades the condition of each pipe, and there's A being the best or in good condition, E being emergency situation. And we have two contracts that we manage. We have an emergency sewer repair contract, and then we have the sewers contract, which is an expedited urgent necessity type of project. So we're normally dealing with the D condition type of pipes in the sewers contract.
So we summarily have both emergency on one hand and urgent on the other hand.
Right.
And so when we look at urgent, does that prevent us from creating opportunities for inclusion in terms of including other small businesses in that work? I do know that emergency work does do that. It does not allow us an opportunity in which to look at potentially other small businesses that might be able to engage in sewer work. Does the urgent work do the same?
Yes, the urgent necessity contract has the same exclusions that the emergency sewer contract has.
So basically, all of this work is work that is just specifically geared towards those who are on the pre-call list.
Right, so there's three contractors that are on the sewer contract, Matthew and Stewart, M&R, and Tomovich. They've established they bid all the items prior to us setting up this contract, and as work comes up, we issue the work to them using the bid prices that they've established back when the contract was established.
Do these two contractors, or any others for that matter, ever use small businesses to help them and assist them in achieving this work?
They do. So there's a company called Robotic Solutions, which they deal with when we have to remove roots that are within the sewer line. That's a subcontractor. We also do a lot of lining work where they utilize subcontractors. There's CCTV work that they utilize subcontractors. So there is a lot of work that they do utilize subcontractors to perform it.
And is that in both emergency and urgent?
It's in both. That happens in both, yes.
To what degree have we begun to grow and develop in terms of the small businesses that we've been able to use in subcontracting on emergency and urgent work?
Because of the nature of the work, those requirements are excluded from the contract. All the things that you would normally see in a capital project, you don't see in these projects. So if there's the way we try to introduce competitiveness in this scenarios are if we see a big project going out, especially in the emergency contract, we bid it out to the entire list which in our case is about 16 active contractors right now. So we try to go through competitive processes when we're issuing large projects, large dollar amount projects through the emergency contract.
I understand the competitive process as it relates to prime contractors. What I'm looking at and wanting to zero in on is the potential that perhaps might exist in terms of the growth and development of small businesses that might be selected by the prime contractor. So it is not prohibitive for us to measure where we are in terms of what work has been done with small businesses. We are not prevented from looking at that, correct?
No, we're not prevented from looking at that.
I think we should look at that in terms of not trying to compel them, but to see what kind of growth and development is happening at the small business level as it relates to sewer programs. Because it appears that you're telling me that they do use small businesses. And to what degree, when they use small businesses, are they beginning to expand the numbers of small businesses they might use? When we look at our construction work generally, we want to be able to expand some of these opportunities so that we can create an industry in the great city of Los Angeles that is one that is progressive, one that provides assistance to everyone. So when we have this blockage in terms of inclusion on both emergency and urgent work, then it does not create the opportunity for us to do that. But yet, we have observed that in both urgent and emergency work, as it relates to sewer, they have, to some degree, been using subcontractors. I would like for us to study that just a little bit deeper in terms of what our habit has been in terms of inclusion there and what the potential could potentially be as they move forward. Because, you know, again, we're on, 5 and 6?
Yeah, we're on 6 right
and
now.
we're going to be on 7 soon, right? Yeah. So let's look at these opportunities. Not that we are forcing folk to do it, but it would hopefully be, I think, a growth of our own organization that these prime contractors might continue to include more small businesses, even though it is both an emergency or an urgent situation. Nothing stops them from including small businesses who have the capabilities to perform in their work, even though we don't compel them to do it. And so I think we need to look progressively at their behavior to see if, in fact, there's a possibility that they may consider this to be an area where they can train some other small businesses to assist them in this work. I think we need to start looking in that way.
Yeah, I can go back and take a look at some of the data that we're capturing and see if we can start to capture those numbers. Also, while we're preparing Sewer 7 contract, I'll keep that in mind and see if there's anything we can do as it relates to that.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, President James. Quick question. The location for sewers 5 and 6, where are those located?
These projects are all throughout the city. So their sanitation submits is that what you're asking, the physical location of the projects?
Like a general area?
Yeah, so they vary throughout the entire city of LA. So as sanitation identifies a sewer pipe or sewer structure in bad condition, they send it over to our division, and then we identify the needs, the design a repair, and actually go execute it with the contractor. So they vary all over the place.
They're not necessarily restricted to a certain area?
No.
Per se?
No.
Some can be in the valley, some can be in
Downtown,
mid-city, all over?
All over the place,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you. That wasn't clear. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Anything further? Thank you, Ryan. The oral report will be received. We have Mr. Sachs on his comments on agenda item number 7.
Mr. President, just for time purposes, under the 10-minute rule, Mr. Sachs has 1 minute and 37 seconds left. We have adjusted the clock.
Thank you. I appreciate the commentary, and I appreciate the questions, because I was going to ask the same question regarding the sewer system. So it's not just a sewer system, it's more like a sewer district. You have different areas of the city that get different sewage usage. So, because you have sewer 5, you have sewer 6, sewer lines, how many sewer lines are we talking about? I've been thinking that these are main lines, they're not feeder lines, or are they feeder lines that go into main lines? Because if they're feeder lines that go into main lines, then yeah, you need small businesses involved. But if they're main lines, I mean, I believe a couple of weeks ago you had an item on your agenda for a new sewer line that's going to run out into Santa Monica Bay. And like, was it 8,000 feet, 10,000 feet that they were going to go out there? And nobody was here from Heal the Bay on that one. So the idea that you are telling people that you have sewer line 5 and sewer line 6 and sewer line 7, but it's not specific to any one general area in the city, leaves a lot to be desired because, again, different areas of the city have different usage for their sewers. I mean, downtown areas, the sewer lines are going to blow up from all the construction that's going on, and because of some of the situation with that construction, there's a lot to be done with that infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
And we are adjourned, everyone. Have a nice week.